Guys, I want to run some things by you. Sorry about my teeth, they'll be coming back today. But it doesn't stop me from doing what I'm doing. And that's giving you the message that you need. Today, you will see there's men lights here. They're here now. I promised you this, and you'll see them. You see the light works here with me. What we call the divine light and the Holy Spirit. They're here for a reason, to get your attention with faith and belief. The angels, the watchers that watch over us, they're here now. They've been here in many videos, but have you been paying attention? Or are you still living in your own bubble, in your own truth? Because I don't see them working with you. So now you see it with your own two eyes, no matter how you feel about it, no matter how you see things. It's the way it is. It's why I'm here. It's why I'm chosen. No matter what you believe or what mindset you're in. Let me tell you something. When I was brought into this world, I was drowned in a bathtub at 2 years old. I was very different. I told my mum at 5 years old about a dream. I said, Mum, where were we? What happened? She was in World War II sitting in her mum's arms in a cellar with bombs going off on the outside. I explained that moment perfectly, the most terrifying moment of her life in her childhood. As if I was seeing it through her eyes and feeling everything she felt that day. I said, Mum, we were shit scared. And you were terrified, Mum, and I was sitting in your arms and I was terrified because you were so terrified, Mum, and the bombs were going off outside. Where were we? What happened, Mum? Mum freaked out. My mother freaked out as I was 5 years old and couldn't possibly have known about the most terrifying moment of her life. That scared the living shit out of her. She got shivers up and down her spine. She got big shivers up and down her spine. She was terrified. When I told her about a moment that happened to her in 1943, 17 years before I was born. So, when we think people are crazy in this world that can see things like this, you're going to ask yourself, what kind of human beings would put people like this down? Because that's what I put up with my whole life from these stories. From stories like this. I was rejected by my father as an atheist. He said I was worthless, a piece of shit, and I never man up to anything. And he embedded that into my mind, and I believed it my whole life. He programmed me to believe that, and he was an atheist who was selfish, egotistical, and judgmental and competitive. So I know what atheists are like. As I grew up with one that rejected me dramatically because I was different. Because I was different than him. His children followed his footsteps. He was my stepfather. My father left me at 1. My second stepfather drowned me in a bathtub. And then this one brought me up to believe I was worthless and a piece of shit, never amount up to anything. That's what atheists are all about. They're evil people, right? That has a personality with pride, full of pride for the egotistical behaviour, can't even touch basis on moral values or have an intellectual conversation. My brothers followed my father's footsteps and were exactly the same. I was different. I was different. I got my head punched in every day for having red hair and freckles with the first name Kim in Australia. I moved to Australia in 1970 from Denmark. And with the first name Kim, no one had that name. And there was no red hair and freckles around that area. Not in 1970. There wasn't one around. It was worse to be, I would have rather been black or gay. There was more of them around. They had more people to defend them. So I was completely alone being a red hair freckles with the first name Kim and couldn't speak English. So I got my head punched in every single day and I left school at 12 years old. Because they always come up and say, oh, my father said you should piss off back to the country you come from. You got red hair and freckles and a first name Kim. My father said you're a girl. My mother said. My father said, my mother said. my mother, my father said. Oh yeah. I can see what mothers and fathers say who are atheists and makes their children behave like this. So I got my head punched in the school every day for that very reason. So I know what atheists do and how people are programmed in this world, how they behave. To strip us from our moral values and using our natural organic motor skills. Because they don't have faith in their biological genes to thinking naturally with organic motor skills. But I had to. Because I was in fear all the time, in stress and anxiety. And that's why I left school, because I was getting punished all the time and I couldn't hang around at home because my father was always picking on me. So I ended up in the streets like most other kids do, like us. And then we suffer the consequences and we take drugs to numb ourselves because we can't cope. We can't cope. We can't cope with this kind of civilization that behaves like this. And most people love it and become one of them in this world. That's what most people do. They become one of them, the masses, and uses all those inverted tools and pick on us throughout our life. And we suffer. We get rejected by everyone. We take drugs to numb ourselves. And then we have to do things to get by, to defend for ourselves. We can't use the marketing strategy and nobody wants to know us. So we have to work it out ourselves completely. From that kind of punishment and that kind of rejection and the way people really are in this world. Not the lies they all live in their own little bubble, in their own comfort zone. People today aren't human. You can't even tell me that they are. They weren't human back then and they're 10 times worse today. I've been watching it for 60 years of my life. For 60 years of my life, I've been watching you guys out there and how you behave on social media platform in some kind of bubble to think you're something special. Everyone's deceived in this world dramatically and stripped from their moral skills. Their natural organic motor skills. From stress, fear, anxiety, confusion, frustration, delusion and paranoia. And everyone's in a mental institutionalization. Where they think too much and think there's something special all over the world. But they still behave the same way and still use the same inverted tools and don't change nothing about the way they think or the way they judge. That's what you learn about life. The truth. Not the lies everyone lives in. Not the lies that everybody chooses to live in. When you're on the streets, you become very instinctive through this path. Do you know that? Because believe me, as hard as this sounds, I've got to tell you something. I'm so grateful I was put through this path like this. To see things differently. To see the way that things really are. Not to lie. Not to live in anybody else's truth or their marketing strategy or the tools they use. No. I chose to think instinctively and follow my heart throughout my life, knowing that honesty is the best policy and doing the right thing. Nobody else uses those tools, but that's what you do when you end up in the streets like this. When you're not programmed to be a fucking idiot. Then you realise how many people like us suffer and why we suffer. Right? Why people like us do suffer. And why we always suffer the consequences throughout our life. Because the way the world is, inverted, the opposite to what we are. To be a genuine human being is to be a moral, compassionate person with loyalty, honour, respect, moral virtue, inspiration and encouragement. And no other tools are required. I don't give a flying fuck what anyone says. And nor should you. The world's crazy. That's declared in documents since 1999. The world's crazy. And since then it's 5 times worse and accelerating 7 times faster and confirmed. The world is crazy. By the tools they use and marketing strategy and come to their conclusion with reasoning. So they don't have any faith in their biological genes to think with their natural organic motor skills, do they? That's why the lights are here. To tell you and to warn you the way that God really does work. That's why they're here now. To warn you. It's the way God works. Look, the power, the Holy Spirit, the divine light is here for you. Not on anyone else. On social media platform live. I'm here live and look, here they are. Working with me. For a reason. that you need to wake up to. The world is crazy and possessed by the devil, warned on documents all over the world. The primary problem of climate is stripped from your sixth sense. Possessed by the devil, by the voices in your mind, declared to be ultimately designed for human extinction. And we can see it in every DNA it's done. DNA. Let's talk about DNA. Let's talk about your capacity and what the real truth is, and not the lies that everybody listen. Let's be honest about things. I've had 7 near-death experiences, 7 of them. Okay, I've been declared dead 3 times. I died at 18 from a drug overdose. That was the 2nd time. And in 2012, I was declared dead for 23 minutes. And I want you to listen very carefully. I woke up in hospital 36 hours later, paralysed from here down, told I'd never walk again. Got up and walked out in 45 minutes and still limping on my right-hand leg. I limped for 3.5 years. I had a major heart attack 4 years earlier. Had 3 stents fitted. Now, I'll go into a lot of details. I had cancer 5 times. Okay? I had 3,000 to 3,500 peptic ulcers, which turns into stomach cancer when you drink too much. I got that from drinking methadone for 5 years. Okay, so I had stomach ulcers turning into cancer. Beyond the point of return, it could be cured. Now, I got put on some herbal stuff, okay, by a friend of mine who knew a naturopath from America in California. I treated myself and it was gone. When they did a study for me, when they cut out 3 lumps of cancer, they thought I had throat cancer. They put a camera down and realised it was all gone. They said it's not curable. I said it was, because I had faith in it. And I believed in it. I don't believe in you. I believe you're lying and just use people for experiments, and you're always wrong about things because they were wrong about me with mental disorders. See, I had the bipolar as well when I had all stress and anxiety as a child and took drugs to numb myself. Half my mates died from heroin, 3 died in my arms. And then at 21, I stopped taking drugs. I stopped dead from a near-death experience. It saved my life. When I stopped that, I had bipolar for decades, for a whole decade. I was given medication that nearly killed me and killed my wife because she took it as an overdose, the safest drug in the world, and it killed her 4 times in one go. She lived. She lived. After 4 times she flatlined from taking the drug that was the safest drug in the world. And it was the 4th time I'd seen this, where a lot of my mates had died from the same type of drugs they deemed to be the safest drugs in the world, and they weren't. They were the most deadly. They were the most deadly. I saw that happen 4 times, and I know how medication's designed to kill people. And they lie about it when it comes to approval. I know that for a fact when my wife died 4 times from a drug that couldn't kill you. They'd lied that much, it's unbelievable. It turned out to be the most dangerous drug at the time. It's called Prothidin. It was taken off the shelf immediately because it was that dangerous and never went for approval. That was the 4th medication I saw go through like this. Then I knew what the world was up to. I knew what kind of medication we were given and what the doctors were telling us when they lie all the time. I died for 23 minutes and they tried to say it's a misdiagnosed when it's confirmed 3.5 years later. It wasn't, because I was still limping on my right leg. I had a major stroke and I did die. But it also proved that I got up off the table myself because I didn't have faith in them. And I didn't believe in them. So when I was paralysed from the neck down, I got up myself. 3.5 years later, I went to see a cardio specialist, right, who had faith in instinctive behaviour and the power that we have. He gave me the confidence to prove that I was still having, psychedelic going on in my mind, still controlled by the mind. He said to me, Kim, think outside the mind, go back to the moment you died when you got off that table, because believe me, we've just done an analysation in you, and I'm here to tell you something. When you had a major heart attack in 2012, and you had 3 stents fitted, you've now grown new arteries around. Very few people on earth can do that. You've also reversed what happened to your arteries. When they were clogging up, now your arteries are better than ever, because you've created the molecules that does the opposite, to heal you. Your DNA's changed, Kim, because you have faith in your instincts, and there's very few people like you that really has faith in their biological genes to think with their natural organic motor skills. And he says to me, Kim, go back to that moment. Believe me, that leg, there's nothing wrong with it except for the fact you did have a stroke and you did die and you did get up. So you got to have faith in yourself that you did it yourself. If you go back to that moment, you can walk out of here. Right? You can walk on your own leg. I can guarantee you that. It's just that it's a forbidden subject. So when he gave me that confidence and that faith, I walked out of there. Right? And over the next 100 meters, I walked perfect on my leg. Just by having faith in myself. Just by having faith and confidence instinctively. That when I think instinctively, I can repair it myself. But when I think psychologically and mentally, you can't. So, you know, when you have a freak accident and someone picks up a car, right, in that accident, okay, if you ask them to do it 5 minutes later and think about it, they can't. But instinctively they can. My own wife picked up her grandmother, double her body weight, that fell out of hospital bed with dead body weight. And she snapped. And instinctively, she picked up in 5 seconds flat. She just picked her straight up and put it back on the bed. Double her body weight, dead weight. Impossible. If you asked her to do that 2 minutes later, she couldn't do it when she thinks about it. When my wife died 4 times from that medication, they brought her back with a cane the first time. We were in hospital and they were pumping her guts. On 3 occasions, right, when she flatlined, there was 5, 6, 7 nurses and doctors around her. This overwhelming power came through me the same way, where I kind of looked up and said, don't ever take her away from me. Take anything away from me, but not her. And bang, she lifted off the bed that far. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. The doctors went like this, and the nurses. But then they went back to save her life because they were still pumping her guts. They were still in the middle of a job trying to pump her guts. It didn't happen once, twice, it happened 3 times. Now I know that I was given the power by God to do that. Right? You don't even believe in it. Nor did I. Nor did I. My God, I had to revise my perception when I understood this. After I was given the confidence about what I can do myself and walked out of that hospital with my leg perfectly after I died, 3.5 years after I died, that's when things changed. Once I had faith in my own biological genes to think with my natural organic motor skills, to think instinctively, that's when God came to me and said, son, I've been waiting for you for that moment, for you to have faith, to believe that I gave you the power to do this, to believe in me, son, to believe in me, because you know that from when you're 5 years old, when you went up to your mum and told your mum about that dream. I created that son for a reason, so that you can never be deceived by any other human being on earth ever again. No man on earth can debunk you and discredit you, son. You're going to write the book that unfolds with evidence, son. And I did. The testimony of Dr. Lord Reborn, and it unfolds with evidence perfectly, about MR technology that Hitler tried to create. Methamphetamine, an electronic magnetic device that goes to the magic potion of the days of Nimrod. They're using MR technology today. It's registered in every patent. Electronic magnetic device. Messenger is self-explanatory. It's a methamphetamine and magic potion in the days of Nimrod to conduct with to different power levels and different dimensions that becomes a voice in your mind that ultimately is time for an extinction, where they control you and you're stuck in a reincarnation trap. Stuck in a reincarnation trap forever, where you get stripped from all your moral values and you only have a personality by merging man with machine. And you don't even seem to understand what's happening right now. That's the mark of the beast, buddy. With any basic common sense, if you got any. If you got any basic common sense. Because that's a fact. Recorded documents all over the world, and you can see how it acts on people. You can see how they behave, the masses. But let me tell you something. People are also waking up because those that think instinctively tune out of the program. Like they tell you in the Matrix documentary, because it's true. Those that don't respond and react with the mind and control by the mind can do many extraordinary things like I can, and more. That's why I was designed for this moment, because I've been dead 3 times and I resurrected my wife and had many miracles recorded in hospitals, every single one of them. My DNA evidence, the whole 9 yards. I have changed my biological genes and have the ability to change things so I can repair my genes down the immune system. And that's recorded on documents already. That's already been done, right? That's what I want you to have faith in. It's already been done. It's marked on earth like you got no idea. I have left my mark on earth with more than 6 minutes of documents you can read about me if you really, really get serious about this. My real name is Kim Lakefort Christensen, born 27/9/60, Go and look at every single record you can and FI every single document. My brief is more than 6 meters worth. And when you understand this, you start to understand a lot of things. But until then, you don't know jack shit. Don't come to your own conclusion, whatever you do. Whatever you do, don't be stupid. I know we have the tools and given the God-given tools to repair our body cells, right? To repair things by thinking instinctively. Throughout my life, when I went through this, you'd be amazed at the shit I ate. Be ashamed how much I kept smoking and everything else. And yet I could do these things without anything else, just by thinking instinctively and thinking outside the mind. God gives us that gift. But we get to sign reverse psychology and we don't have it. No, we get stripped on reverse psychology and go into a reincarnation trap and get stuck in amnesia where we don't know any better. Thinking we're intelligent with a high IQ that only makes it a good what to do, but in fact not intelligent. So thinking outside the mind, and you know that when you go through death. When you leave your vessel, you realise you're not the person you thought you were. And you escape that. And you're free. Free from the reincarnation trap. And you wake up from amnesia and realise you had amnesia when you die and cross over and come back. And believe me, the first thing you realise is exactly what Jesus says on the cross. God forgive them for they do not know any better. Because you realise you had amnesia and you didn't know any better, and you realise everybody else does and they don't know any better. They're all psychological and mental. They're not instinctive. They're not instinctive human beings, man. They're mental human beings all over the earth, and using those tools, and it isn't hard to work out, especially on social media platform. You can see the tools they use to better themselves, to make a name for themselves. They've done nothing for society, never done nothing for nature, anyone around them. You know, I'm not saying this to put tickets to myself, but I just want you to get something straight. As the #1 drug lord in charge of the 7 most powerful networks, and every document that you'll read about me, in 1996 we had the highest death toll from cocaine. We had the highest gang killing, and we had the highest violence. By 2000, 4 years later, all those 3 statistics became the lowest in 30 years. I was seen as #1 drug lord, in charge of the 7 most powerful networks, according to their documents, the biggest think tank in the world. NASA, NSA, CIA, NASA, and NSA. In Pine Gap Area 51, Australia, where the headquarters are. I became the biggest complicated problem for them as I reversed their plan. No one believes in that. Really. Harari tells you they're going to create what Hitler created. Right to your face. Harari's the architect for the 4th Industrial Revolution, for the WF. They both say they're going to create great gods, and they're the divine power, creation, and destruction. He says they're going to create what Hitler created. Meth and amphetamine is what Hitler created. Right? With a conductor to take over the whole world, putting into the whole human population. That's why he brought out a happy pill. That became a happy pill that more than 70% of the whole human population was on between 1945 and 1980. So it began back then. ADHD medication's gone through the roof because we're just on reverse psychology straight from our 6th sense. The DMA used to be dangerous, did an old ancestry savage tool. Your moral instincts is to feel things with your instincts. To think instinctively. Those that think instinctively tune out program. Most of the world's like robots to fact check Google themselves and uses the inverted tools with a high IQ. And they're programmed into that, to be stuck in a reincarnation trap, to become in a slavery system. So they keep coming back to be slaves. That's why the Bible says you're going to be stuck in reincarnation for 1,000 years and wish you were dead, because no one dies. So they follow their forefathers' footsteps, the return of the gods. And they're here now, in their minds, because it's all been designed for this moment for 120 years. And you don't even believe in it? Hey, let me tell you something. Meth was first registered as a bioweapon in 1895. Go and look at the documents. You can see it on Google in 10 seconds flat. And methamphetamine is 1/3 iodine crystal, which is iodine graphene oxide sheets that makes iodine hydroxide gel. It has a personality. It's in water when you talk to it. Do you understand that? Do you even understand that? It's an accretion in your adrenochrome. It's a Christ oil that you conduct with, naturally and organically. Are you aware of that? Probably not. So you don't know much, do you? Well, I do. My book unfolds with evidence about Hitler's plan. The Pandora's box opening up with hybrids and superhuman abilities, producing a Bredanic genes. They're stuck in a reincarnation trap. They're stuck in it. But they know how to use the tools. That's the fallen angels. They know how to use the tools and how to resurrect into us. They're the Freemasons that use those tools. They're always masterminds. They're masterminds so they can master the whole world. Because they're stuck here in a reincarnation trap. That's why they confuse us so much, and we're stuck in it too, so they can keep on keeping us as a slavery system. That's a fact. Right? That's a real fact. Those that wake up are reborn. Reborn means break free from amnesia and discover who you are. So you're not stuck in a reincarnation trap. And that's to become spiritual, and that's to become instinctive. The whole world thinks psychologically 95 to 99% of the time, so they're stuck in the reincarnation trap. That's why 93% of people die from stress-related diseases every day, because they never find freedom. They're never free from that. And people know that before they die. People are not afraid of death in any way, shape or form, or anything in their mind. No stress, no fear, no anxiety, no confusion, no frustration, are the only ones that are reborn. The only ones that are reborn. And let's have a look at this. Stress-related diseases kills 93% of people every day. 6.95% die from being murder accidents. 0.005 die peacefully. And guess what? It's not you. It's the indigenous people in the outback of Australia. It's the ones off the grid, right? The humble people. It's the Shula masterminds amongst them, the Buddhists, and there's not many of them. And a couple of us. That's it. A few of us that die and come back with these tools. And you know what? That's where the whole world's fucked up. Because most people are possessed by the devil in the mind, and you can see that on mental health research study alone and their DNA evidence. They have no sixth sense. You can see that in DNA evidence. They have no sixth sense whatsoever because they think psychologically and mentally. The most powerful evidence in modern history is right in front of your face. On the biggest mental health research and DNA evidence all over the world. Every single human being with what they consume has 7,000 defective genes. Only a handful of people left in the world are humans and doesn't suffer any of the consequences everybody else suffers from. Mental disorders, gene defects, cancer defects, and stress-related diseases that everyone takes with them to their grave. And everyone's controlled by the voice in their mind, and you can tell by the tools they use by living in their own comfort zone, their own little bubble, and being deceived by every single person in the world in what they believe in. Yes, there's a lot of deception here and a lot of false prophets, more than you understand. When they're not using these tools, and they were not chosen to use these tools specifically, you know they're the inverted tools and follow their forefathers' footsteps. And that's a great return of the gods that's in their mind. They all think they're gods now because their gods tell them that. They all tell them that, right? But they're all antichrists when they don't use the right tools of righteousness. It's that simple, buddy. And here you have the light working with me. You have the men lights, the divine light, the Holy Spirit here right now. The angels that watch over us is here now in front of your face. So what you choose to do with that, I can see 99% of your spinous cows and run away. I can see the numbers going down all the time because you're all godless, immoral creatures out there, really. It's only a handful of you, it's not. That's the reality, man. That's the real reality. 99% of people are not human in this world, and they will fail. I can guarantee you that. I can absolutely guarantee you that. They give permission to the devil. They give consent to the devil every day and every decision they make in the mindset they're in. Right? They're spineless, weak cows and godless, immoral creatures, and believe me, there's no hope in hell for them. They're going to wish they were dead for 1,000 years, and they're going to remember this video. They're going to remember me. And they're going to wish they listened to me a long time ago. And believe me, I don't say this to be nasty, unkind. I say it from pure love. You have to fear God, man, not fear the devil, not fear anyone else. You have to fear the truth. If you don't fear the truth, you're fucked. The truth will set you free, man, from every single thing you're going through. And you know, that's the problem. You're in a long, dark tunnel, and you keep falling into rabbit holes and entertaining and distracting yourself. Trust me on this, guys. You don't want to get this one wrong. Work with the enemy, walk with the enemy, but get it right, man. Get it right. Don't get it wrong. Jesus was indigenous and he used certain tools. Loyalty, honor, respect, marvelous inspiration, and encouragement. They're the only tools that he used. He said the kingdom is your church and the kingdom is Mother Nature that you're in tap with, that you're so disconnected from. You're supposed to pray to water and your food because it has a personality. It has feelings. And when you give it love, it gives you 10 times more nutritional value. 10 times more nutritional value. But when you don't give water any love, then you can see what your water looks like when you put it in a freezer overnight. And you can see what your body cells look like at the same time. And you see you're in corruption, coercion, illusion with pollution non-stop. Because of what you choose to feed yourself and down your gob, what you choose to follow all the time and entertain yourself with and distract yourself with, right? Not to use your biological motor skills. Not to use your natural organic motor skills. To think instinctively. Not to think psychologically and mentally. Because God sets you free from that. He gives you the power to master your mind so your mind no longer masters you. And believe me, the liberation is sensational. Sensational. There's nothing to fear. It's fear that controls you. It's the way people behave around you. It's the negativity that spreads like a virus and affects all of us. But God will give you the power to reflect that. And that's what's so hard to understand. God will give you the power to reflect all of it so none of it can affect you. And that's being free. That's being completely free from the human condition and every single thing we suffer. Freedom is the liberation, man, and the truth will set you free from the human conditioning. Being free from the human conditioning is what's going to save humanity. Being free from the voices in your mind that are ultimate design for human extinction, that deceive you non-stop. There's nothing to fear. Everybody else that needs to use any inverted tools are in fear and lie about it. Most people in the world accuse you of what they're guilty of. They reflect everything upon themselves, right? Everything that's spit out at you is a reflection of themselves. You're hearing that all over the world because it's true. Because it's literally true. 95% of people will accuse you of what you're guilty of, what they're guilty of. Okay? They'll belittle you, they'll stomp on you because there's no love left. There's no care factor. No loyalty, honor, respect, marvelous inspiration, encouragement. Because people who use those tools are humans. They are humble and they will always think with their heart and they will always do the right thing no matter what. They will not cause people to stumble, but they will help them get back on their feet. No matter what. Love thy neighbor, love thy enemy. By understanding. Completely different. See a different perception. Think differently. Change your perception completely. Think outside the mind, and God gives you the gift where you can see things unfold right in front of your face. He lets you master your mind so you can see everything unravel. And you get it with simplicity by not thinking about it. Because you can feel everything, man. You can feel your body speaking to you. You can feel the outside vibration like a universal language. We can feel each other, man. That's why we conquer and divide so much with egotistical behavior. The world's full of ego, man. So much ego in this world. So sensitive and highly emotional, so psychological and mental as well. God did not create us to be like this. Satan did. The devil did. For a marketing strategy and the people that runs this world that are not stuck in a reincarnation trap that knows how to use these tools to keep us in it from stress and anxiety throughout our life. So 93% of us die from stress and never escape this reincarnation trap. There are monsters in this world, evil people that runs this world, and that's a fact. You can tell by the tools they use today within our technology, with hybrids, clones, and all these things, how much they deceive them when it has no care factor. You know, take a look at every Google fact checker, Facebook fact checker, YouTube fact checker. Take a look at all of them. Monsters in this world. Monsters in this world. That's what they are. There's no human left here. Not in social media platform. They don't even know how to use the right tools. They always use a marketing strategy to make a name for themselves. You get that? Because believe me, it's the truth. It is the truth that's going to set us all free. Not to fear these monsters. Because the devil works in their mind, and that's their decision, and that becomes their consent, and it also becomes their judgment. Right? Because they give consent to that bullshit and those tools that their forefathers used, and that's why they keep using them. We're not like them. We want love, we want peace. Right? We want harmony. We want to love one another and bear another's burdens, and not cause people to stumble, but to put them back on their feet and help one another. Right? To be equal. By the vineyard rule equally. That's how we're supposed to govern life, not the way these monsters do in their pyramids and everyone trying to get to the top to make a name for themselves. That's the inverted behaviour. That's the Netherlands behaviour. That's the Babylonian beast all over the world. In the biggest psychological war game or warfare ever in global history. Against your spirit, man. And they deceive you every single day by twisting the fabric of truth non-stop to normalise what was moral yesterday. And look at them today, with all their agendas all over the world, and how many people falling into their agendas as well, and also using the same tools with their own agendas and their own belief systems to manufacture their own truth and manipulate their own truth. And no one's wearing their heart on their sleeve, and no one's down to earth. They're all living in some kind of bubble that's programmed with education or through the social media platform. They believe in so many new belief systems all over the world, and then use those tools. Quantum mechanics. It's about vibrations. It's about frequencies. It's about love. Loyalty, honour, respect, moral, rules, inspiration, encouragement. No other tools. They are your power, and they're the most powerful frequencies in the world that you have. And then everybody in the whole world wants to belittle it with quantum mechanics, frequencies, vibrations, and fifth dimensional thinking with their Galaxy Federation and all their bullshit. They're antichrists, man. They're all antichrists because Christ is inside us. The Bible's coded in our DNA, man. In righteousness. How fucking hard is it? Huh? How hard is it to be righteous? You find it difficult, don't you? Well, the whole fucking world does. In the way that we're set up in this marketing strategy, in this BS all over the world. And believe me, that's why God's here now. The watchers, the angels are right here now. And you better pay attention. You spineless weak cows. They're not with you. You weren't chosen. And you sit there and entertain other people and distract them from what the truth is. Most of you do. Keep entertaining yourself. Run away like spineless weak cows. That's right. The numbers go down again as soon as I say that. Run away, you pussies. Because God doesn't work with fucking morons like you. And never will. Let me tell you something, guys. This is hardcore stuff, but 90% of people following me are no different, man. They're not fucking God's children. They don't pay attention to nothing except for entertainment. To better themselves and then run around like bullshit and lie to everyone else because that's all they do. Living massive lies in this world. No faith, no confidence. Don't believe in the elders of wisdom and knowledge. Don't believe in the one chosen. Don't even believe the way God does work. In the old men of renown, wisdom and knowledge, they write the books that involved with evidence perfectly. Who's following them? Who's following them? The old men of renown, wisdom and knowledge that can do these things. Once given that God-given gift, who's following them? People don't give a shit, man. Yet we're here to save humanity. We don't cause people to stumble. We put everyone back together, back in their primal state to think instinctively with their natural organic motor skills. Those that think instinctively will tune out of the program. Those that don't never will, man. Never fucking will, I can guarantee that. When they justify everything else with their mind, that's their decision that was supposed to get set through, and they follow their forefathers' footsteps. And that's the return of the gods, man, that are here right now, right in the harvest to take their children away. And everyone's going to get stuck in a reincarnation trap for 1,000 years, and they're going to wish they were dead. But it's not like they think, I can guarantee you that. Jesus warned them of this, but they don't fucking listen. They're morons in there. Jesus was wild, right? He smashed the markets upside down because he didn't like the system. He smashed the gambling tables upside down against the criminals. He didn't like them neither. He smashed the people in the church because he didn't fucking like them neither. And he said they're all controlled by Baal. The kingdom is your church and you're not living by it. Now, how many people got that part right? Oh, not many. I can guarantee you that. I can fucking guarantee you that, because everyone's been twisted so much with the real truth. He was indigenous. He used indigenous tools the Australian Aborigines have lived by for thousands of years, and they've been protected by the Min Min light. These lights here, it's the Min Min lights from the outback of Australia that's followed me ever since. Okay, do you actually get that? They are the Watchers, right? Any Aboriginal will tell you we have a relationship with the Watchers, our ancestors, the angels that are watching over us, right? We have a relationship with that, and we know who doesn't. Well, they come with me, and they're here with me right now to prove a point to you. Are you awake? Are you awake? Because that's how they work with the Australian Aboriginals who lived by the Wynyard rule equally for thousands of years. Never conquer and divide, never kill one another, right? Didn't consume the rubbish that you do. Lived by the Wynyard rule equally. By the kingdom's the church, and in complete harmony with nature. And they always go walk about like Jesus did for 40 days and 40 nights without any food. And they can live without water. They can run for 5 hours without sweating. Right? Just like Jesus could. They had all these abilities. And they have dimensional thinking, a universal language. I've gone into all the details about this. They live by the Wynyard rule equally. 2 simple commandments to love one another and bear burdens. And they've always lived by the tree of life until we got there 250 years ago and destroyed their way of life. Because that's who we are. We are the monsters. That uses every other bird of tools from what they use, and they live by the Wynyard rule equally. And 2 simple commandments that God gave us. Jesus Christ, he told us this. Go onto the paddocks. Go walk about to talk to Jesus Christ. The Sabbath day is about family, lovers and friends. Feast and wine, they say. It's about song and dance. They lie to you. It's about song and dance, family, lovers and friends. And they always live by it. That's why Jesus said, the church was created by Babylon. And they're all controlled by Babylonians. Not the people in it, but the people deceived into it. Okay? People deceived into it. Even pastors and preachers all over are deceived into this. But every religion was created by Baal. The kingdom is the church. And the Australian Aboriginals and the oldest and wisest civilization on this planet has always lived by it. By the tree of life, not by the tree of knowledge. They were told never to go back to that. And they never did, but we did. We did it again and again and again, and we always do. This is the 6th mass extinction and the 6th time you've been stripped from your 6th sense. This is the 6th mass extinction, and this is the 6th time you're stripped from your 6th sense. And that's a warning. You can either restore and go back to primal state and the image you created in or not. But you have to break free from amnesia and free from the reincarnation trap to discover this. Who you really are, why you're here, and what the meaning of life is. And if you don't stick your heads out of the cave, the light at the end of the tunnel, you'll never know. You will never escape the reincarnation trap, and you'll die from stress-related diseases. You'll die from stress-related diseases, and you'll go into a reincarnation trap for 1,000 years and wish you were dead. Only those that break free are reborn and break free from amnesia and the reincarnation trap, and are not stuck in any bullshit, or any education bullshit, or any entertainment, or distract people. They use the tools of righteousness. And that's how you know the ones that are chosen. They don't use any other tools, but these tools to break people free from amnesia. And that's the salvation plan, so we can go in a new timeline where time stands still, life preserves, and everything becomes perfect. No more pain, no more stress, no more fear. And that's freedom, buddy. Freedom from the human condition, the voices in your mind. So believe me, we break people free, right? We don't fuck around like everybody else does. We get straight to the point, okay? Straight to the point. That's why God is here working with me, and that's why the Watchers, the angels, are right here, and you're watching this with your own 2 eyes. So please share the love, guys.